Hello, welcome to the Nintendo Bros Podcasts. This is Pete.
And this is Derek.
And we're here to talk about video games, right?
As always.
As always. Okay, and there's actually some news this week. So that's exciting.
Some interesting stuff to talk about. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think the biggest announcement of the day is not even Nintendo related, really.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to talk about? You texted me.
Of today, sure, but of the past 2 weeks, I don't know if I would agree, but
I think it's pretty significant. I mean, for one...
It is significant, you're right.
We hadn't seen Redfall ever, so I wasn't expecting that anytime soon or this year.
Why don't you share the news first?
Okay, so it's just so our listeners... Bethesda announced that both Redfall and Starfield, which were both slated to come out this year, are now delayed to the first half of 2023. They released a letter, which is kind of surprising considering Starfield they gave an exact release date last year. Mm-hmm. And Redfall had like a spring or summer release window.
Summer, yeah.
I don't doubt they'll be good games, but what do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, I was always skeptical of Redfall coming out in the summer, just because, one, like you said, we haven't seen any gameplay. And, they just released Deathloop, and didn't they release another
Ghost
game
in
as well?
Tsushima.
And no,
but I mean that's still Bethesda.
Ghost in Tsushima.
Ghostwire
Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo, sorry.
No, but I just mean I'm surprised they would be able to release Deathloop and then Redfall, 8 months later, whatever it is. So I was skeptical to begin with, unless it was a small scope. But I'm betting it's probably expanded in scope. And
but wait, did Redfall actually do? I thought it was a different developer that did Deathloop.
I think Deathloop's made by Arcane Studios, and I think Redfall is made by Arcane Studios. You can double check that.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, you're right. That is a very fast turnaround, right?
Yeah, so I was a little skeptical at first, just because of the names. And Arcane Studios, their genre of game is not at all online multiplayer, right? Like, if you look back at their games, Deathloop has sort of an online component with a multiplayer component. And then you have Dishonored 1 and 2. Yeah. But if you think about it, the Redfall seems to be more like Left 4 Dead or the game.
Well, again, we haven't seen anything. Have they confirmed that it's not local or
I think they have said it's a co-op multiplayer game. I think they did say that, but I'm not for sure.
You're right. That first trailer where it's like Left 4 Dead with vampires.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, I just don't know if it's in their wheelhouse to say, hey, we can do this in 8 months or whatever. I mean, they probably have already been working on it for a bit. But yeah, so I wasn't very surprised about that. I mean, that's cool with me. Whatever that comes out. I like Arcane. I didn't love Deathloop, but for the most part, I like their games. I'll definitely give it a look. I loved Left 4 Dead. I never played the one that came out. What was the game that came out last year that's very similar to Left 4 Dead?
Back 4 Blood. Yeah,
Back 4 Blood. I didn't play that, but this game seems to be kind of that same genre, so definitely going to give it a check out. But yeah, the Starfield is definitely surprising, just because of the the actual release date they had. They had it way in advance, which means like they were pretty on. They were prepared to give a release date a long time ago. And I don't know if you saw Jason Schreier's tweet. But he tweeted and said he's talked to people that were making Starfield in the past, and they said they were worried about it being the next Cyberpunk with the release date it had before the delay.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the developers for the game are probably worried about the scope of how big it's supposed to be and how much expectations are there, kind of like Cyberpunk, and I think a lot of them probably thought it was not feasible. So I think they got the delay, but it's kind of funny because I was reading about it and people were commenting saying, 6 months, an extra 6 months might not change it from being the next Cyberpunk catastrophe. So like, who knows if 6 months is enough.
It's not like 6 months or even 12 months turned Cyberpunk around.
Yeah, exactly. So who really knows what's going to happen with that? It's interesting. I was surprised by the Starfield. Redfall, not surprised. How about you?
I was kind of surprised. I mean, Redfall, I wouldn't be surprised if that releases in 2024. I mean, we've just seen nothing, and like you said, it was just kind of like an out-of-nowhere CG release trailer with a way too soon a release date, and like you said, it's by the Deathloop developers, and I think they're also probably working on a Xbox version of Deathloop for this year, and
Yeah.
that might be positioned as a bigger release than it originally planned to be. Now that these big games are being delayed, but I never expected Redfall this year, and Starfield though I'm actually more disappointed because I was really looking forward to playing it.
I'm surprised you're looking forward to playing Starfield. I'll be honest. As someone that's never played a Fallout game, like
I have. I played Fallout 3.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I did not like the Fallout games I played. So Starfield, I am excited for just because it seems cool. But I'm just surprised that
Well, I mean,
I have
just
tempered
the
expectations.
hype behind it. They're hyping it as the next big thing. The rumor that Sony was trying to bid for exclusivity on it before Microsoft purchased Bethesda.
Oh,
It's the
I didn't
next
know
big.
about that.
Todd, what's his name? Todd McLean? Todd
I don't
Schaefer?
know.
No,
Touch shape.
no, he's from Double Fine. That's Tim Shaver.
I
There's that guy.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that Sony was bidding for the same game. So I guess it probably is going to be.
That's a rumor, right? Back before, I remember hearing that rumor shortly before the Microsoft announced they were purchasing Bethesda. But do you know that guy? He's a big head of Bethesda games. He's like the head guy behind Elder Scrolls. He was the guy that had the whole horse armor memes about.
Let me Google it right now. Todd,
Yeah,
his name's
Todd
Todd
something. Yeah,
Todd Howard.
Yeah, Todd Howard.
Yeah.
So this is the game that he's kind of come out and been working on and directing and touting as the next big game. So these are all the reasons why I'm hyped about it.
Yeah. It looks like he has probably a hand in some of the bigger Fallout games and the bigger Elder Scrolls games. This guy definitely has a resume to speak about. You're right.
I mean, and I guess for me, I'm just waiting for Microsoft to truly have its first big win, in terms of software exclusive for their next gen software. It's not for Xbox
their lineup
One.
is dead now. Without those two games, what is their lineup for 2022? Period.
Well, that's the next thing. I mean, the other thing to wonder is they said the first half of 2023. Does that mean something like Starfield is getting maybe just a 3-month delay and it's actually going really well? They just need a little more time, and because they said in the statement at the end, they said can't wait to share the gameplay soon. So that to me says that they're definitely going to show it in the June Microsoft Bethesda showcase.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, coming out in the showcase and saying April.
If they're saying first half of the year, I mean it can't be disastrous, right? It's not Halo Infinite. Mm-hmm. Which was still a disaster.
I bet you it's probably they could have hit the November target, but they're like, hey guys, this is a big release. This is a big thing. We got a lot of kind of prestige riding on this game. Let's take the extra 5-6 months, whatever it is, to make this game kick ass. So you know what I mean? It's like one of those games they could put out in the day that they were saying, but they want to make it even better.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Redfall dips. They might have a big Starfield reveal and it looks amazing, and they give it they tell us it's going to be April 15th or something, and we're like, oh my god. And then Redfall just doesn't. They don't show anything, and then next E3 we see Redfall announced to come out in 2024. I can see that
or the
happening.
holiday. Yeah, exactly.
To me, I have no hype behind Redfall at all. I'm not really into the Left 4 Dead style games. I never got into really online shooters.
I just
like
loved
that.
Arcane Studios. I think they've made some amazing games. They made the Dishonored games and they made Prey.
I know. I'd be more excited if it was another single player FPS.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't played Deathloop yet? It's okay. I felt like that was the weakest game they've made so far.
You know what? I will be playing Deathloop this year.
Yeah, after the year exclusivity deal
Yeah,
pops up.
exactly. And but you're right. You bring a good question. What is Microsoft's lineup this year? Do we actually believe that they have something they haven't announced that they'll show us in June at the revealing that will come out this November? Are they gonna? Can they do that? Have they done that?
Let's talk about let's think about it. Is Perfect Dark? They announced Perfect Dark. Is that something that they could?
No,
could whip
that's
together?
had development issues. Apparently, people leaving the studio. It was only announced recently to drum up excitement. That's 4 years off still, if not vaporware.
Are there any third-party exclusive things that they could take?
I think Elden Ring is going to hit Game Pass. I think that'll be a big one.
Yeah. You can only do so many Game Pass games without having any exclusives day one.
My real hope is that they can get some really sweet deals with Ubisoft and Activision for Game Pass.
Yeah, that'd be
And
nice.
especially with Activision getting all the Call of Duties or Tony Hawk or Crash Bandicoot, like
Not
all
even
those
necessarily all of
games.
them. Like it'd be big if they could just get the next Call of Duty day one on Game Pass. That would be big. Like that would be monumentally huge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need that. I would just love to play more of the Crash Bandicoot 4 in 4K,
I know.
60
I'm not,
frames.
are we talking about your preferences? Are we talking
I'm
about
talking about
general
my
things?
preferences. No, you're right. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, I'm good for that. And I don't even know, are there like third party releases coming out this year that are exciting? Like, can Ubisoft step in with a big release?
I mean, probably more Assassin's Creed. Forspoken is still coming in October, but I don't know if that's. Who knows what that's gonna be?
Watch that be the big holiday. That's
I mean,
PS5
Call
exclusive.
of
That's not on
Duty.
Xbox. Forspoken's not for Xbox.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Call of Duty. I guess. I mean,
Forza, well, there'll be a Forza game.
there could be another Star Wars game. Like I know, like there's been some rumors about Jedi Fallen Order 2. They say it's 2023, but I just mean there could be other, or the how about the Indiana Jones game?
Well, we literally talked about that a year ago prior to E3, because that's from Machine Games, right?
Yeah, and their last game was Wolfenstein: The Young Blood.
The
which
Young
is
Bloods was kind of a spin-off anyways.
yeah,
I'm really excited
Wolfenstein
about this
2
one,
was
especially with Indiana Jones 5 like in development as a movie too. So I'm really excited about this one. But
yeah, me
maybe.
too. I think it'll be good. I mean, the only thing I'm curious about is how, in a it's gonna sound weird to say, but in a post Uncharted world, how far do they lean towards what exactly Uncharted is, and how much do they make it their own thing, and how much do they?
Well, it's a first-person shooter, isn't it? Isn't that what they said?
Oh, is it?
Indiana,
I don't. I
Indiana
haven't
Jones?
really read anything about it.
I thought it was, yeah, first-person shooter, and probably just
Okay,
a lot
that'd
of
be cool.
kind of like an arcane game, probably. Like, you have to sneak in places, climb up pipes, probably use your fists a lot, use a whip.
Yeah, you haven't really played arcade games.
I mean, I mean, just in that style of like giving you like little open areas to explore.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's interesting because I don't think you played Wolfenstein 1 or 2 or any of the side games, but Wolfenstein is very very similar to almost like how Doom plays, right? It's kind of those frantic high high
Yep.
speed.
I have Wolfenstein on Switch.
Oh, right. I
Yeah,
forgot it came out on
I got
Switch.
about halfway. It's okay. But I like Doom better just because I like the art direction and the way the
Me too.
levels
I like
progress.
Doom more too. But it's just if that's their kind of repertoire, I'm curious, how they're gonna handle Indiana Jones action, because like that doesn't really make sense for an Indiana Jones game, right?
Well, of course, yeah. You can't like unless you're fighting Nazis or like robots or skeleton people or something. Like there are ways to get around that.
But even Nazis, like Indiana Jones, isn't someone that just like sprints down hallways murdering 15 guys. Like,
Yeah, I'd love to see more fist action and if you get guns, like the bullets have like you have like 4 bullets and you need like 3 bullets to kill someone and like 2.
I
to
would
stun
see it
them.
almost more like almost like a GoldenEye for the N64, but like 10 times or like modern. You know what I mean?
I imagine a lot of inspiration coming from Resident Evil 7 and 8, but the non-gunplay. If you know what I mean, like the basic puzzles, how the story elements in first person, sneaking into
Okay.
castles, a little bit of that. But maybe I think you are probably fighting like maybe you're fighting like statue people and you're shooting snakes and you're shooting, not always just mowing down humans.
True, because I guess Indiana Jones does have a little bit of that supernatural.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of a tough point though, right? Like, but it would be cool if there was like a little bit of a Hitman inspiration in there, where like
Yeah.
you had a mission and like GoldenEye, like you said, the kind of like the combining of all those ideas to lead to like different styles of completing the mission.
Yeah, but again, it does kind of go back to I didn't know it was first person, but if you think of Uncharted or even Tomb Raider, they kind of have that the third person exploration vibe and like the commentary and like the little humor and the climbing and the puzzle solving. I'm just wondering if they'll differentiate or how close they'll be to those two games, and how it will be received like being compared to those two franchises.
I mean, I think it'd be pretty disappointing if any game follows those molds, because those molds to me are like we're living in a post The Last of Us 2 slash Elden Ring world, right? So in Red Dead Redemption, like I don't think you can go back to that Uncharted linear, you
Oh,
know.
I disagree. Like Uncharted, I think has a great linear kind of story that I think would suit Indiana Jones really well.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe. I guess we'll see. I mean, maybe they will make it third person, but then it requires a lot more work, I think, on the animation front.
Yeah, again, that's outside their wheelhouse a bit. I don't know. That's one game that
I mean,
could
but
be there.
the point stands though. Back to what we're talking about, I really don't see Microsoft announcing it this June to come out this fall. Like that's so unlike them. We would have seen it already.
I really think that the most likely thing is uh, day one Call of Duty on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Game Pass show. Although I wonder if Rare could announce something. They have that one game, the can't remember what it's called again. The one it's like they showed forests and like it looks like an open world.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Is it
Everlast?
Is it or Everwild? I don't
Everwild.
know.
That's what it was. Everwild.
Is it actually Everwild?
I think so. Yeah. Looked cool. Apparently, it was in development hell though. Microsoft just can't catch a break, eh? Like, how does Nintendo just constantly line them up? Exclusives, and Microsoft just can't catch a break with like $75 billion spent in the last 8 months.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like they newly had Bethesda. Their first party lineup. Not that I'm giving them a pass, but their first party lineup beforehand was never that strong.
You're right, and
So now, like they're still sorting out their timeline with Bethesda, and now they're gonna have Activision. I think once they have Activision, like we're gonna see all those games. So I don't know.
hopefully they can use Activision's skill to fix Halo Infinite.
Oh my gosh, I was just reading about that. That's crazy about Halo. Season 2 is kind of a blunder.
The whole game's a blunder. I feel like it was a beta. I mean, it's too
I
bad because
thought
the
the
shell
main
of the game
campaign-
was great.
I thought the main campaign was pretty bad. Like the core of the game, you're right, is good, but it just was not a complete package. It felt truly underbaked.
I mean, it was free because it was on Game Pass, so I can't complain that much.
Yeah.
But if I had paid money for it, I would have been disappointed. Like I think it got overrated in the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could have been a little lower 80. Like you're right. It feels so half baked in just the problems with the online and everything.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, Microsoft's had a hard time, but this is a Nintendo Bros podcast, so let's move away from Microsoft's failure and onto some of Nintendo's successes, right?
Yes, exactly.
All hail
only
Nintendo.
only good news for Nintendo.
Anyways, let's talk about what was just happening. It was a Nintendo Indies Direct.
Okay.
Derek, did you watch it live? You didn't, right?
I did without sound, and I was teaching at the time, so I was just kind of clicking through and watching like the videos of things that I thought looked interesting to make note of them. I didn't find anything personally noteworthy.
Were you like in class when you were?
So like but like all my kids they all do their own lessons at their own pace. Like the class I run, it's like it's independent learning.
Yep.
So I just kind of sit, and if they ask me questions, I have to leave. But usually I just sit and just kind of click through.
So one day you'll be watching a direct in your class, and you'll see like a game announced that's huge, and you'll stand up and be like, "Yeah!" And your kids will look at you and be like, "What is it?" And you'll be like, "Oh, nothing."
Oh yeah, like I mean, I don't think it was the last Smash Direct. Actually, it was the last Smash Direct with Sora. The kids had put it on the projector at lunchtime, so I went into a classroom with them and watched the direct with a bunch of
And
kids.
everyone cheered.
No one cheered, but some people were like pretty like you could tell they were like hyped.
Oh, okay.
Like when people whisper and talk excitedly.
I honestly, when they announced Banjo, that was the biggest cheer for me.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Anyways, so Nintendo Indies Direct, I watched it live as well, but I kind of was, to be honest, I lost attention with it a bit. I was kind of doing a few other things. I had to focus on work, but I did go back and kind of like look at each game a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna probably type them in as you say them and just refresh my brain.
Okay,
But I did see them, but
I only
ones that you
Yeah, I only wrote down the games that I kind of took interest in. But I guess let me just say, when I first watched it, I remember messaging you and being like, "Oh, be disappointed," and I was disappointed. I was like, "Oh, that was crap."
I mean, I went in with low expectations. I mean, Hollow Knight. We recently got I think a tweet from them saying, it's going to be shown. Stay tuned. It's coming shortly. But that was like 3 days before. I just the way they wrote it did not sound like it was coming soon. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we have seen a bunch of stuff independently of directs.
Yeah, those games have become bigger.
We have a release area. Yeah.
I like made note of that. Like, could anything really without Silksong or Shredder's Revenge really make what would someone want? Does everyone just want that? Like,
let me I can't let me look up my my post because I made a list about it.
And you know what? Here's the thing: neither of those games at this point are going to be shadow dropped because they're too big.
Yeah.
Both will get announced with probably retail versions. Like, I'm pretty sure Shredder's Revenge has a retail version. It's multi-platform now. It's not just a Switch indie,
Yeah. So a few, I made a little list. A few that I was hoping for, expecting, or maybe is Inscription, the game I played on Steam.
Yeah, the Switch port.
Yeah. So where is that Switch port? I really want you to play that game. And Sultan Sacrifice, the Sultan Sanctuary sequel, I think comes out tomorrow or this week, and it hasn't been announced for Switch, but I'd be shocked if it doesn't ever. It'll eventually get a release because the first one's on the Switch, so I thought maybe that would be there.
I've never even heard of that.
You never heard of Sultan Sanctuary?
Oh, well, I've heard of it. I've just never played it.
It's like it's almost like a 2D Dark Souls.
Okay.
And the other game the one I was most excited for that I thought was realistic is Blossom Tales 2. Mm-hmm. Because they did announce that, and I was just hoping to see some. But yeah, I was low expectations and somehow still let down.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I was let down. Nothing looked amazing, but when I went back and looked at it, I was kind of like, well, it's not that bad. I think maybe it's just this kind of late generation lack of excitement for small games.
Yeah.
For Switch, because we have 4K very powerful machines. Everyone wants a new Switch. Everyone wants the big Nintendo tentpoles.
And we have quite a few first-party big games to be excited for just for Nintendo.
Exactly. Yeah, and we'll talk about those in a bit. But some of the games that I liked, I saw this. The first game was called Ooblets, and I thought this actually looked pretty interesting. I don't think it's my kind of game, but it looks like it's a really good mix of that kind of Harvest Moon meets Animal Crossing that a lot of indie developers are doing.
Oh, this is the game with all those little animals. Yeah. This game looked kind of interesting. Yeah, keep going.
But it looks like the really polished. Like all the trailer had really smooth frame rate, and it comes out this summer, so it just looks like well put together. And there's little scenes of exploring the world, and it's got a lot of variety, and I like the colors. Like this one, it looks. The thing is, you never know with these games. They could come out and we never even think about them again, or they could be the next game that everyone's like, this is the game of the year, this is the game of the year.
This game is already out on Steam, apparently.
Oh.
I mean, that's what at least a quick Google, it looks like it's out on Steam.
People hate it.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not reading about it too much, but yeah, it came out almost 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm sure people like it if it's being ported, but it didn't seem like it generated, the crazy hype online. So I think it's probably a good game, but not like one of those games that you just kind of described.
Yeah, I know you're right. I would have heard of it if it was like this really hot indie game.
Yeah.
The next thing they showed that I was interested in, I thought that game Electhead. It's kind of like a very simple monochromatic platformer.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about this one for a minute.
Okay.
So I think if you've ever seen Game Maker's Toolkit, have you ever seen that? You've seen that YouTube channel?
Of course.
So
I introduced you to it.
Okay, yeah, Game Maker's Toolkit. So I don't know if you know the background of the story. Then every year he puts on a competition and he says make a game. And I think you only have so much time. You have 48 hours or something to make a game, and there's a theme. And one of his years, the theme was flow. And I actually remember watching the YouTube video on all, the top. He picked 50 of them and showed them. And I'm pretty sure Electhead was in that video. If it wasn't, the moment he said that the game was based off a competition with Flow, I knew exactly what competition it was, and it looks really, really cool. Just the idea of this. So I think it was a small scope game that got made into this bigger kind of idea because I think people saw it through. Again, I think this video that Game Maker's Toolkit put on, and people thought it looked awesome. So I think he ran with it and made a full-fledged game. So that, yeah, I'm really excited for it. It looks like it looks like it has some pretty interesting puzzles, simple overall. But I think again, just the idea of someone thinking of this and building a kind of a prototype in a short time and then kind of fully realizing it is cool. So
Yeah, they said in the trailer one person made the game, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I kind of sometimes I just love these kind of games, especially like they're the kind of game I want to play when I travel or do quick bursts. Rather than jumping into like a big adventure game, just kind of like play a few rooms or levels,
yeah. I think for me, like the price has to be right for that game. If it ends up being $25.99, I'm probably a little bit more hesitant than if it was $8.99.
To me, it's
but again,
more like
I don't know how much is in there. So
$2.99 kind of. That's what I figured it would be, though.
Oh, really? I think it's gonna be more than that. I think it's gonna be like a full-fledged puzzle game.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how the reviews do to it.
Yeah.
The next game that kind of piqued me a little bit was Gunbrella.
Yeah, this one didn't do much for me, but you can keep going.
It's not coming out this year, but it just looks like it has a little bit of that, like, Katana Zero.
That's the exact vibe I got from it, too, actually.
Yeah, and I really like that game. I just felt like it was not very long. I don't know if you... Did you play Katana Zero?
Yeah, you recommended it to me, and I beat the whole game.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was just like... It really is like a 3.5 hour game. So I'd like to see, like, more from that. I don't know if it's the same developer. But no, it's the Gato Roboto developer. I don't know what. I think that's a pretty popular game, but it looks cool. It looks polished.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, I'm not against it. I just yeah, it didn't excite me. It didn't hype me. At least the trailer.
Well, let me be clear. Like nothing in this direct really excited me.
Yeah. I
my hype level never even went to like a high yellow.
4.
Yeah. These are just games that I'm kind of on the fence saying this could be good.
Yeah.
And if there's really high reviews and the right price or the right sale, I could dip on this. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
The other game that looked interesting to me was another Crab's Treasure, it's called. And it's kind of like a big 3D, looks like an open world, almost like a Souls-like light.
They literally use the word Souls-like.
I know, and they cross it off. I know. I'm just trying to give an overview here. But it looks kind of cool. Like you play as a crab, you have 50 different shells you can have. Probably has different armor and abilities, and I don't know. This to me looks like something I would more likely play on Game Pass because I have a feeling it's going to run really poorly on Switch.
Agreed.
So by Game Pass, I wouldn't be paying anything. So it just kind of looks like that kind of game. But if it was on Game Pass, I would strongly consider downloading it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Game Pass, I would give it a go. For some reason, I'm just not a big fan of games where I play like animals like that, especially animals that kind of break the reality of what the animal would do. Like I don't know, it didn't. I think graphically it's kind of. Well, that sounds silly. I just think like graphically it didn't do that much for me. I've played enough Souls games recently, and I'm just kind of maybe fatigued on them a bit. This game again looked good. It just didn't. I don't know. I'm that's probably a big pass for me ever.
Yeah, I mean,
if it was on Game Pass, I'd give it a try, but I have a feeling I'd pick it up and like an hour later, I'd be like, okay, I played enough.
Yeah, and there was that game, Saber. Did you ever play that? Came out last year.
The game you recommended on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, I think it was on my top 10 of the year.
Yeah, I played it. I played maybe 2 hours into it. I'd like to go back to it. I just never did.
Yeah, it kind of like scratched that itch for like lo-fi open world exploring game. And this game looks a little more. Even though that game looks janky, like this new one looks pretty janky too. Yeah. The Crab Treasure. It doesn't look super polished. The last game I have on my list that I thought was interesting is coming out this summer, Cursed to Golf. And it just looks like kind of a weird little ball bouncing. I mean, it doesn't even look like golf to me because I think you can like hit the ball more than once and there's all these effects you can cause. And
I'm not sure. I couldn't remember if I read about this, whether it's a roguelite or not. But basically, you have to get out of whether it's a level or the whole game before running out of strokes, or else you die and reset. But the way it works is you can get power-ups that let you like hit the ball further, or like bounce off something, or like hit it while it's already moving, or you get extra strokes throughout the game. So part of it's like kind of working through a big world or big level and like getting extra strokes and getting power-ups like while you go through this kind of maze of stuff. It looks really cool. I'm kind of down for it.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Yeah. And there is a game that I don't know the name of it, but you can probably find the name if I describe it. It's the game where it looks like it's 4-player online co-op where it's all about sound, and it's kind of like one of those gun like shoot 'em up kind of games, like twin stick shooters almost.
Yeah, Soundfall.
Yeah, I think that game looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought the art style was like garish. Like it looked like
I hate the art style too. Yeah,
it's like a bad indie version of Diablo in a way, with a bad mix of Disney in there.
I just think it could be cool with.
It looks like it's made on Unity by some really like a talented college kid. You know.
Yeah, I just, to me it's just like, I always like games that really incorporate the music and the sound effects into the game.
But does this really? Like, I don't know.
That's what I mean. If it does, it would be awesome. I don't know if it's just kind of like on the surface, like, oh, it's all about music and like that's just the story, or if it's like, oh, you're like, 'cause you can pick songs and it plays the song. So I don't know if it's like,
oh, that's cool.
Oh, if you play to the beat, you got to shoot faster, you get a stronger shot, or like you can only like that's when the enemies are going to attack. A little bit kind of like Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Did you ever play the Cadence of Hyrule or Crypt of the Necrodancer?
I played the first one for maybe like 5 hours. I never bought the Hyrule one though.
Okay, I got the Cadence of Hyrule and I just could not get into it. I found it frustrating, and
you got to really get the flow of like the you got to get into the kind of the.
It had to click, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
But I still it's for Switch, so.
Yeah. Anyways, if this game. I think music games incorporated into the gameplay is just a cool concept that needs to be developed more. I think there's so much there for be able to create like music into the games for how you play. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of faith in this, but I have my eye on it to see kind of how it incorporates that and what it can do, because it could be kind of fun, especially if I play with a friend.
It's out right now. Soundfall.
Oh, right. It came out like that day.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll look at impressions of it and see what people say.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, if it's online too, it might be a fun one to play.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, overall, I feel like we'll both end up with at least one of the games on this direct. So how bad can we really say?
I doubt I'll get any of them. But
I think there's a good 30 to 40% chance I'll buy one game on this list.
I think there's a good like 8% chance I'll buy one of them.
Wow. Gunbrella is calling you, Derek.
If there's no Ninja Turtles or Hollow Knight, I don't really care.
Anyways, moving on. Another little thing. We talked about Switch Sports in our last episode, and it since has released. It has a 72 on Metacritic. I know we talked about it a little bit. It started off at 75, dropped down to 72, and it seems like people have already kind of forgotten about it.
Really?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know the sales in Japan have been pretty good. It sold about 300,000 copies or more.
Yeah, I thought it was doing okay.
Reports have been good on sales, but it just seems like, at least in the gaming circles and things in social media circles that I frequent, I don't see anything about it.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is you and I, we frequent the circles that are pretty serious gamer enthusiasts. And I think if this game is going to take off, it's going to take off with the casual people that we never talk to about games.
Yeah.
Like I could see like my girlfriend's sister, if she had a Switch, get a game. Like, get that. You know what I mean?
I do wonder. I wonder if it's going to be a huge seller. I mean, I'm still curious. And the funny thing is, I feel like with enough updates, I could be persuaded into it as well.
I'm almost guaranteed I'm going to get it. If it adds like maybe 5 more games in the price, if I could find it on used or something, I would 100% grab it.
Yeah, and I believe it's been data mined that there's more coming than just the golf.
Yeah, they've already. I think baseball was already on there, and
dodgeball. Yeah,
dodgeball,
I would love to see archery.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That was my favorite one. That's my favorite Wii Sport. What's your favorite Wii Sport or Switch Sport in total, Eric?
Oh, I'd probably say bowling, or I really did like baseball. Baseball is really fun. Once you learn how you can... so the reason people didn't like baseball is because it was actually the most complicated of all of them. Because people just thought, oh, the pitching is just like all the other Switch Sports games where you just throw it and that's all that matters. But if you press the different direction on the D-pad, you get different pitches. So it actually is way more complicated and like way more interesting. So I like the baseball game a lot.
Maybe they didn't explain it very well.
They didn't. They like never say that.
Yeah. weird. I mean, they're weirdly basic with these Switch sports. Like people, I mean, obviously I didn't buy Switch sports. I played the demo or the beta, but I saw a lot of people online just complaining that there wasn't really a lot of content, and that like they don't even really explain some of the nuance to the game. Like badminton has like an extra layer, these extra layers that aren't really explained. You know, so you kind of have to like figure it out. But I don't know. I'm itching for it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too, especially because, with my girlfriend and her family or my buddies that come over once in a while to play Smash, like that would be one of those games, or even out of having like a house party. Like it'd be nice to just have one of those games where everyone would play and everyone have fun and just, and I'm hoping that, when we talk about Mario Strikers in a minute, that might be that game too.
Yep. But I don't know. There is a different feeling about sitting on the couch and loading up a Wii Sport and just waggling your hand away. You know.
Totally, exactly. I just don't know if this game would ever be a game I'd like seriously be like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and play alone, and really play this game for hours alone.
Well, it's the first time they've really seriously incorporated online into it.
I know, the online is cool.
So that's one thing that actually does make me want to say, like, I mean, I'm almost a little disappointed that they don't have more single player or local things to do. Like, there's nothing other than the basic games. But with the online, they do have, like, rankings, and you can get a certain currency. And so it's like, it's almost tailored more for online, which is an interesting take.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's something that I'll probably get down the line when more sports and updates come to it. Because it is something that I feel like, you sit down, you load up one game of tennis. It might be fun to just like play online with someone.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like how Mario Golf and Mario Tennis kind of were, where it's like it's almost better just to wait until all the content's out and then get it.
Yeah, which is a good segue into the next game, which is Mario Strikers Battle League.
Yeah.
So that comes on June 10th, which is not too far away, 1 month. And they released a new kind of overview trailer, first in Japan, which I watched, and then they just released the English version, which I also watched.
Yeah, me too.
I know you're going to get this one. You're excited.
I've changed my mind a little bit, but keep going.
Okay, well, I'm probably going to pass on it just for the sake of money. To me, it almost seems like the kind of game that, I hate to say it, almost looks like it should be free to play. It doesn't... or at least a lower price. Like, there's really not a lot of characters. There doesn't seem to be like a lot of real content outside of like a structure of how to play the game with other people online. And with only 10 different characters that can play, and matches that have 4 versus 4, like you're basically playing the same people on the field every single game. Which is kind of lame to me, and it just doesn't look like it has a lot of character. Like you're just gonna mix in even the half field thing. Like I think that's kind of one of the coolest ideas, but I kind of also just want to play on the full fields, for like just not to have that as a weird distraction. And
what do you mean the half fields?
So you can take like half of a Bowser's Castle field.
Yeah, but it's all aesthetic. It doesn't actually change the course.
I know. Oh,
Okay.
Actually, I wasn't sure if it did affect like the little things that'll pop out on each side of the field.
I don't think so. I mean, people were analyzing it. I was reading about it, and it seems like it's just aesthetic. People were kind of saying, what's the point of this? Why do they even put that feature in? It does really nothing.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of silly. And it's probably a way to get around having only 4 or 5 different stages. or
Yeah. I kind of see it, when we go back to relating it to Mario Tennis and Mario Golf. Like, it just seems like this game was pushed out to be another sports game that comes out each year or whatever it is, and they're gonna add 6 sorry for the noise. They're gonna add 6 characters throughout the next year or 18 months or whatever, and maybe another game mode, but at the end of the day, it's like you're right, like kind of what we got is what we got, and even if it's fun, it only can be fun for so long. Like there's just not a lot of content there.
Exactly. It's almost like it's just one Switch Sport mini game, with a little bit more expansion.
Exactly.
And I have to admit, like I'm not in love with the armor that everyone wears. It's like the certain color of your team, and they just kind of look like polygonal blobs.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a fan of the graphical style of when you go for the super kicks and it going into that, like, I mean, at first I was more open to it, but now I'm kind of over it. I don't know even how to explain it. It's like a hand drawn digital kind of with black flames around the edges of character. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I'm
kind of
talking
like
about.
it's kind of like a Final Smash or what they even did in the Wii Mario Strikers.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of it jumping into that completely alternate art style. It just feels really off. It almost feels like a cheaper way to go about doing those things. So I'm just not overly impressed. Right? It looks like a Saturday morning cartoon versus like an actual miniature cutscene.
Yeah. So again, just back to me about getting it, I kind of feel the same way as you. Like I think I would have fun playing this game, and I would have fun playing with my friends. But money, I'm trying to watch what I spend, and one more content will come out. I'm betting as we wait. So why would I get it day one and have bare bones or the minimal amount? And yeah, I just think there's not a lot to it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards a pass now too.
I mean, I know we haven't added. I think it's probably too late now to add this to our poll, our Metacritic fantasy league. Do you want to make a prediction on the review score?
It's not too late. I probably won't put on the Metacritic score, but I'll predict it'll be like a 77.
Yeah, I'd probably even go a little lower to be honest.
Yeah,
What I'm
I was
seeing.
saying 76, but
I'm thinking like 75, solid.
yeah.
Which is disappointing because like I don't know, for me, little things go a long way. Like I think we've talked about this before. We're just like, give me an in-game currency that lets me buy this. Let me do a single player mode with
They do have in-game currency that lets you buy things.
yeah, but does it relate
So
to anything but the armor?
what else did you want it to relate to?
I don't know. Artwork behind the
Maybe you
scenes
can buy
things.
other courts or something.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe like that'd be cool. Like, I guess there's more something to play towards.
I mean, like honestly, I remember back in playing the one for the Wii. It's like I think they even had unlockable characters in that. It's like where's the unlockable characters for these games? Like I would love to play Mario Golf, where it's like, oh, if I beat if I come in first on the tournament on normal mode, I unlock.
I know. Yeah, why don't they do that anymore? It's like
I, it's such a good incentive to want to play the game.
and like just do the single player content.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how easy is it to be like, oh, we're gonna have a bronze, silver, and gold cup. You unlock three characters with each one.
Exactly.
Or even if you started the game like with just Mario, and you had to play like a thing to unlock the next guy, and a thing to unlock the next guy.
Exactly. Like it's like Smash Bros is it's funny because it's the only game that really does that these days, and it's actually one of the games that people actually want it not to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I
Like
think
tons of people want Smash Bros to have all the characters unlocked, but it's kind of fun to unlock. It makes single player fun.
it makes multiplayer fun when you like after a match with a friend, one of you has to the winner has to show down. Like I love that.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, it's you're honestly right, and it kind of yeah, it's surprising they don't do that. So I mean, maybe the 10 characters they shown that's not it, and there will be like a whole bunch more. Like,
Or
how hard is it to? It's not like in Smash Bros. Where they have to have a whole move set. Like, just literally make Toad have the exact same thing as Diddy Kong, and like just
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
and also like you can do things like event modes where it's like why can't you have an event where it's like oh I'm facing 5 Bowsers and like that's an event or like I only get 2 characters but they're twice as fast or
yeah,
like
or
they're
like
just
30-second match or something.
yeah exactly like just there should be ways to like change all those rule sets to make it fun. Maybe there is on some of those things but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see. I mean, it's just yeah. For me, like those little things go a long way. It's more like I guess I would say it's like the flow state of playing a game, like a sports game like this. And I get it with racing games too, where like just one little thing to do on the side can break up the flow of like doing race after race or match after match after match after match. And like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to go here, spend my coins. I'm going to go here, like do a little mini mode.
That's why
I'm going to go here, look at my artwork, and then I'll go back into it. Like it makes Smash Bros. And other games like Gran Turismo like have this amazing longevity.
that's
It's
why I
not that
love
hard to put in. Is it really that hard to put in?
Agreed. That's why I love Forza Horizon 5. It's like one of the first, realistic racing games I've ever played in my life.
Huge amount of content. Yeah.
And well, not just that, but like the idea of you do a race and then you can just drive around, and not have to just go race to race to race. Like they're just things to do. You can drive around and do like the wild jumps, or you can just go sightseeing up a mountain. Like I totally know what you mean. Like there just needs to be those kind of side things to do, just so you're not doing if you do the same thing over and over again in a game, it kind of becomes grindy and repetitive. Where if there's even that one small thing or one kind of incentive that's captivating enough, it's worth playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, very few games. I mean, I think Mario Kart 8 is one of the few games that I can just do race after race after race after. I mean, even Smash Bros. I need to take a break usually.
See, I'm probably the opposite. I could do Smash endlessly. In Mario Kart, I could do a couple cups, and I'd be like, well, I've had enough.
Well, anyways, developers, if you're listening, it's the little things.
Yeah, hire us, please.
Yeah, hire us to design your games because we have ideas. Another thing that was interesting is that Nintendo kind of released some sales figures. This was their most successful year ever. The past year, from March until March 2021 to March 2022. They sold more games than ever in that period.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because I would say that they didn't really release a ton of... I mean, other than what was a huge release during that time? Other than Pokemon games.
Kirby? Well, Kirby, I guess, came after. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say Pokemon, but you kind of took that from me.
Yeah. And Kirby is on the list at 2.6 million. But interestingly enough, Derek, I shared this chart with you. They released their new kind of top 10 games, top 10 games for Switch as far as sales.
Oh, that's the top 10? I didn't know what that was. Okay.
Yeah, that's the top 10. And you'll see Mario Kart 8 is number 1 with 45 million.
And just to make sure, does that include just Mario Kart 8 as well?
No. So it's 53 million with Wii U included.
How much did Mario Kart Wii sell?
About 30 million. So Mario Kart 8 has sold way more than Mario Kart for Wii.
I'm just surprised because Mario Kart Wii, I remember being like, that game is so crazy high sales. I was like, no Mario Kart game will ever, because I was like,
well,
I remember
just to put it in perspective, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now Mario Kart 8 is now the 7th highest selling game ever.
Like Mario Kart 8 with 8 Deluxe. I got
Yeah, I think, but with Mario Kart 8 without Deluxe is still the 10th. It's way up there.
Yeah, it's still insane.
Even Animal Crossing is now at 15th best selling game of all time.
Yeah, I just distinctly remember in the Wii U when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was out, it was selling 4 million or whatever, and I was like, man, I don't know if Nintendo will ever get a console as big as the Wii and a game that will sell because we were talking about the casual market.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, there's no way that any game's gonna surpass Mario Kart Wii because everyone that had any person that owned a Wii also owned Mario Kart, in my mind. But it's just crazy that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is at 45 million. I think that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to the quality of the game because it's excellent, but also just the fact that the Switch is now outsold the Wii.
And how many games, 7 years, 9 years, whatever it is, have DLC still coming for it? Like that, you know what I mean? Or brand new DLC just talked about.
Yeah, that's World of Warcraft levels.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Also saw that Zelda Breath of the Wild at 26 million is now the 26th highest selling game ever, but also has sold more than any other Zelda game combined.
Any other 3D Zelda game combined?
Any other 3D Zelda game combined, that not including remakes. So a little bit of caveats there. Still impressive, though.
Still, insane.
Considering this is Breath of the Wild's first re-release. I mean, it'll get a re-release one day in 4K and sell another 10 million.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing was Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which just came out last year, is now on the list at number 8.
Yeah, this one I find is a little bit of a cop-out because it includes both versions of the game.
Yes.
And, even Sword and Shield, right? It includes both versions of the game.
You're right. It's two, and people are buying both.
Yeah, so not everyone buys both, but they should still be high up. I just don't know if I would give it the same kind of credit. I think it's a little there's 3 of those on this top 10, right? Where they're 2 games for 1.
You're right. Pokemon specifically.
Yeah. But the game that I think was I was so surprised about it. I saw it on the other thing that you sent me, the other table of sales, but it's here as well. It's the Ring Fit Adventure being 14 million. To me, that's crazy as well.
That's huge. And that overtook Splatoon 2 to be on the list, because Splatoon 2 is at 13 million.
Yeah, to me, that's insane. I think Splatoon should be there, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee shouldn't, but...
I agree. I think a lot of the Pokemon games shouldn't be there. But also surprising was Pokemon Legends Arceus has already sold 12 million units as well, and that's only in like 2 months. So
And again, that's a single game, which is pretty
yeah,
awesome.
like just shy of Elden Ring level sales at that point, right? And like the other thing, which was interesting, was that Mario Party, Super Mario Party, having sold 17 million, the new Mario Party, which came out just last year, is already at nearly 7 million. So huge, huge franchise.
Wait, so is Mario Party Superstars doing well or not?
It is. I mean, Super Mario Party still does really well and is at 17 million. So 17 million in sales. So I guess we'll see if Superstars has the same legs. But 7 million in half a year, I'd say is a pretty good start.
Yeah, I agree.
Some other interesting takes from that list too was Kirby has sold 2.6 million so far. Metroid Dread is at 2.9 million.
Best-selling Metroid of all time.
Best-selling Metroid of all time. Pokemon Snap's at 2.4. Mario Golf's at 2.3 million. Luigi's Mansion at 11.
I saw that one. I thought it was crazy.
I know. Well, it's a huge franchise. It's a really great game.
I don't think Luigi's Mansion 2 sold anywhere near that.
No, it was like 5 million.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
crazy to think how that franchise has exploded. Miitopia at one point.
Just think about it. Like that's on par with Splatoon.
I know that's on par with like a big Sony release, like a Horizon.
It's pretty close to even Pokemon games. Some of
some
the remakes.
About half, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, also Miitopia had 1.6 million, and Big Brain Academy had 1.6 million. WarioWare, interestingly, pretty low, 1.2 million. And then Clubhouse Games has 4 million. So I thought the huge sales all around. The one thing that I guess surprised me, I don't know if it surprised me, but the Metroid sales I thought would be a little higher.
I thought they would be a little higher too, actually, just because every other franchise that we've seen, it's like the best-selling game is on the Switch.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it'll climb over time to maybe like 3.5 million, but it's not going to be a 5 or 10 million seller like people may have hoped.
The only one I don't see is where's Fire Emblem?
That isn't on the list. Maybe
I guess this is the list of things that sold 1 million in the past year.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I guess because it sold more than 1 million, but I guess this is. I didn't realize it was.
Well, you can see the right column has the life to date sales, and the far left column has the last fiscal year sales.
The title just confused me because it says million seller Nintendo first party titles.
But interesting that a game like Luigi's Mansion and Pokemon Snap can sell another million copies. Well, I guess Pokemon Snap released in this quarter or this year. But I guess it just kind of means that Fire Emblem did not sell another million units this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes from highest to lowest. Like, you can see the top 10 selling games of the year being Pokemon, Mario Kart 8, the new Mario Party, Animal Crossing. Yeah, you can kind of see it goes in order. So
it is crazy, again, to look at that and think of, wow, Breath of the Wild was the 7th best-selling game on the Switch this past year.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like that's insane.
It's wild of the breath.
Yeah.
You know what I think about sometimes is like, imagine you had this document and you could bring it back in time and like leak it to like when people were still talking about the Nintendo NX.
Yeah.
And showing them this and just be like, this is the slate of games you're gonna have like a few years into Switch. And they'll be like, no, it's a lie. Metroid Dread, that's some bullshit wannabe list. Yeah, Pokemon Snap, Luigi's Mansion 3, they're like, get out of here, you liar.
Yeah, but the moment Breath of the Wild comes out and the guy's like looking at this list, he's like, oh my god.
Yeah. You'd be a prophet.
Yeah, seriously.
Another interesting note is Kirby and the Forgotten Land at 2.6 million. So that'll probably secure Kirby and the Forgotten Land as the best-selling Kirby game ever.
Yeah, I think so too.
Excellent game.
Do you think new Pokemon Snap did well enough to warrant another new Pokemon Snap?
Honestly, I don't think anything that sells under 5 or 10 million ever warrants anything from Nintendo. So 2.4 million to me is a little bit low. Like, I kind of hope this game would also have take off a little bit more, being like,
yes,
with the nostalgia and everything.
Well, I'm just saying Metroid Dread, I would assume, was a pretty big success and will make another game. Another I'm betting Mercury Steam is probably already working on the next 2D Metroid.
Yeah, like a remake of Super.
So I'm just saying, why can't the team make a new Pokemon Snap?
I mean, I guess the idea with something like Metroid Dread a sequel or a Pokemon Snap sequel is that like just diminishing returns, right? Like you sell one for 2.4 million, and like this is a game that had to be developed in HD with a big team, marketing budget, etc. 2.4 million is nothing compared to like Splatoon 2. It's not
Yeah,
driving, and it's also not driving their online sales. It's not really,
true.
and like they can make a Pokemon Rangers game for like a quarter of the budget and sell half of that. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if it's worth it, and what's going to be new about it, right? Like Pokemon Snap, the new Pokemon Snap has a lot of great stuff about it. I mean, I think if anything, why don't they just drop the price, put it in a player's choice box, and sell it with a squishy Pokeball, and like you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah, true.
that's me. That's if they hired me. I don't know. It's far in terms of sequels here. I don't even know if Luigi's Mansion is going to get a sequel anytime too soon. I don't
Yeah,
even.
I don't think it'll get a sequel for. I'm just trying to think about like the Switch successor. Yeah, I don't think we'll see it on the Switch. Maybe the Switch Pro or the Switch 2, whatever comes next.
Yeah, I also don't think another a Mercury Steam is working on another Metroid.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Oh,
these sales aren't insane. I mean, they are a lot better than Metroid: Samus Returns, which I
yeah.
don't even
I
think
think
broke a
Mercury.
million.
I think Mercury Steam's a low budget affair with Nintendo, and they're kind of like, here's some money. You're doing okay. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll oversee it. And I think it's just an easy way for them to keep Metroid alive for the fans, but not invest a lot into it.
Yeah, I mean, the game did get an 88 on Metacritic and sold 3 million, so it was a critical darling.
Best
Fans loved
selling
it.
Metroid of all time, right? It's
I
like
do.
they can't do better for the franchise.
But I do wonder, like, with that kind of game, they do bring on Sakamoto and like the Japanese crew. Like, do those guys get tired of like just grinding out another game and another way for the story to justify going forward? Like,
Yeah, true.
to me, it was kind of like that's it.
Plus we got to see. I mean, if and when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, that game could be 11 million, and then it's if that happened, then I'm sure Nintendo would go like, why are we even making the 2D if they're not even scratching 3 and Metroid Prime is hitting 11.
I mean, do we really believe that Metroid Prime can hit 11 million? Like, I don't. I really don't know if that.
I think it'll be better. It'll sell better than Metroid Dread by a lot. I don't think 11 million. It might hit 5.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But I mean, that's only because it was announced. It was announced so long ago. Like, it's been has this mystical hype behind it. Like.
Yeah.
What do you think about Metroid Prime 4? Do you think we'll see it this year?
I do not. I think it's vaporware.
Really?
Well, I don't think it's vaporware. I think it's like there's a lot of craziness. I think it'll be like 2024, 2025 that'll come out.
So you think there's big problems behind the scenes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
really?
Well, again, remember Retro went in and started from scratch. And starting from scratch is not like a 3-year build. Like you have to do everything again.
Yeah, but they did go to them that previous fall with like a prototype, and apparently the prototype was really great. Like these are just things I heard through the grapevine, but like if that's true,
Oh yeah, your connections with Nintendo, right? Yeah,
like,
friend of a friend.
I know Brian. He's from the future. He showed me a list. But yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. Like I can imagine they could show a CG trailer this E3.
Yeah, but we've said that for what 3 E3s in a row.
Probably longer.
Yeah, I have zero faith that we'll see it until at least like after Breath of the Wild 2.
Well, it has to happen eventually. You got to realize that from the moment they announced, like it was being delayed and being remade by Retro, that was before Redfall was even announced. And we're expected to get Redfall this year, and then get it delayed till first half of next year. We've seen nothing of that game. It's announced out of nowhere. I guess Arcane's better at releasing games than Retro Studios is, but I mean, I guess my only point here is that we have to see it eventually. So like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to be like, oh, it's almost become a meme in and of itself that like, oh, it's not going to show up this time, but like one of these times it will.
Okay, here's my bet for you, like a friendly question bet.
Okay.
Do you think we're more likely to see Metroid Prime 4 at the E3 whatever showcase this summer for Nintendo, or Hollow Knight Silksong?
I think Hollow Knight Silksong.
Okay. Because again, both those games have been now. I mean, Metroid Prime for quite a few years longer, but Silksong is like 3 years now and not a single thing. Like,
I just think in the case of Metroid, in terms of this year, even though I talk about wanting to see it and everything, Nintendo won't want to overshadow Breath of the Wild 2, or they already have a very semi-strong holiday lineup already with like Pokemon and Bayonetta. So I think they have
But
kind of enough.
but like just knowing Nintendo, like there is that little twinkle of hope where it could be Metroid Prime coming October.
You're right.
Like
Number
it
four.
could.
Imagine it's not Metroid Prime 1. The rumors are it's Metroid Prime 4. Like,
Yeah, could you imagine? Like, can you imagine like 3 or 4 days before their direct, everyone's just like Metroid Prime 4 is coming. Like all the leakers are just like it's Prime 4, it's not Prime Remake, and like they just like hype towards overdrive.
I
That'd be
mean,
awesome.
that's the thing. You never really know. Like that, and like they could just announce it and it could just happen. But
Exactly.
last E3 was Metroid, and they announced it last year. So released it last year. So I just don't know if they'll do that 2 years in a row. And I think they'll get Metroid. I mean, my prediction. I think we both talked about it. Is a Switch Pro coming out next year, with Breath of the Wild 2. I think there's a good chance that Metroid Prime 4 is exclusively for Switch Pro.
Agreed.
There's a chance. I think it's probably better chance that it's like 30 frames on the regular Switch and 60 frames on Switch Pro, like something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's still on
Yeah.
Switch, but like the hack version. But that's how they kind of get away with it. And they'll wait till E3 to show it when Switch Pro is out and Breath of the Wild 2 is out, and
Yeah.
you know. But anyways, I mean that's kind of all the major news, unless I'm missing anything here, Derek.
Um. No, not really. For as far as Nintendo, that's basically it.
I mean,
Yeah.
the main question I have is out of all the big games that were supposed to come out this year, do you remember when everyone was like, "Oh, 2022 is going to be amazing. Look at this huge list of games." Like, not really anymore, huh?
Yeah. Like the first 4 or 5 months were like we're honestly really stacked, and now it's petered out pretty heavily. I mean, I know we're only in the fifth month anyways, but it doesn't seem like. I mean, we're gonna say this, and then in June we're gonna get like like probably 8 to 10 decent games coming, and I am excited for Forspoken. There's a big heavy rumor, in my opinion, that Final Fantasy 16 is gonna come.
I do not think so.
I don't know.
You really think that's going to happen? That's
I
that's
think
like
it's
against
really,
every precedent that Square Enix has ever set.
I have more faith in Final Fantasy 16 coming before Starfield.
Wow. I mean, who knows at that point? But I bet Starfield would be like 3 times as big and 10 times as good.
Yeah.
I have high hopes for Starfield.
I don't, but I also have low low hopes for Final Fantasy 16.
Same. But you know what? So for big games this year, what else could there be? Like, I mean, I know, like, do you think God of War is really going to come out? That's the other big one that a lot of people are asking about.
I do think that's going to come out.
Yeah.
It's been I know I was talking about it with our buddies earlier. It's been a long time since God of War 2018. It's using the same engine. It's a PS4 game, so they got to eventually get the PS4 games out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've already shown some pretty decent trailers, and I think even some gameplay was in that last trailer. I could see being pushed to the first half of 2023. I think they're saying we got to get a game out for this holiday, and that's the game.
I agree. I mean, I think at the same time they have less pressure to release it. They'll also want to be like, taking the big news cycle for that whole month.
Yeah.
And, maybe challenging Elden Ring at a Game of the Year spot. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling there could be something where by the end of the year people have forgotten about Elden Ring. People have a little bit of backlash, and all of a sudden a big new fancy God of War comes out and just kind of steals all that thunder.
Exactly.
I mean, Lord knows God of War 2018 was overrated to the heavens and back.
You know what? It sold well and people loved it, even though
Yeah.
I don't know how, but that's what
I
people
agree.
felt.
I don't know how the gameplay is so shallow. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's hard to tell. It feels like every week we're switching between, it's going to be a great year and it might not be a good year. Because even I don't really know. I still don't really know what the next game I'm going to buy is for a while. But
Yeah, for me, I mean, mine was Mario Strikers. I have about 6 or so indie games on my wish list on Nintendo. So if I get through kind of my backlog, I might grab one of those for like $10 and just play it.
Mm-hmm. You should really
And then-
try to find Kirby, though. I mean, that to me, that at this rate, it looks like that might be the definitely one of the top 3 Switch games of the year.
Yeah, I think that's likely too. Yeah, and I kind of want to make more use of my Game Pass that I have it, so I'll probably go back and just skim through and pick a couple games and just dabble on them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't see myself, getting any games for a while.
yeah. Tighten the belts.
Unless again, one of those older games goes on sale, like a deep sale.
Yeah, I mean there are Nintendo sales from time to time. I'm still kind of on the
Yeah,
fence about. I want to grab Kirby Craft a World one of these days.
you mean Yoshi's?
Sorry, Yoshi's. Yes.
Yeah, I have it. It's okay.
I really hope they do kind of like a player's choice lineup of games.
I know, really, they should, especially with how many big heavy hitters they have.
No kidding. Like, I guess they don't really need to though.
All right, Pete, should we move to what have you been playing?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I've been playing. I've almost been playing. Well, actually, I've been playing exclusively Elden Ring.
Okay, so same as the past like 5 podcasts.
Yeah, but I have been playing.
This is really a Derek segment talking about what I've been playing.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I'm almost, to be honest, I've been playing a lot this week to try to. In my mind, I'm like, oh, if I play like a 10-hour day, I can beat it, the whole thing, and I can.
You're further than that.
Okay. Thanks for breaking my heart there. But I mean, I'm just
Like you have further to go. Is what I mean.
I know, but at least I could have been like, oh, I'm almost there.
Yeah, I mean, if you sprinted down the main line, you could probably do it in 10 hours.
That's what I figured, but I don't even know where the main line is. But still,
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I have to say, at this point in the game, some of the wonder has kind of left it a little bit.
Yeah, after the capital, which is I think is where you said you were,
Yeah.
it becomes very kind of sloggy where you're just kind of like, okay, I'm just trying to like wrap this game up, and you got maybe 15 hours at that point.
Oh, okay. There is a lot. Is there ever times where like you have to know a specific place in the map to like go to, and then go to this place, and like?
No, you're still follow the main path or whatever. It's about 15 hours of main story left. I would say for you, you could probably do it in like 8, if you just follow the main path. But
And then there's probably 100 hours of side quests.
I
Right?
mean, yeah, but if you wanted to do the main things, like you got the underground, and then there's one other main side dungeon, and then the rest is just the main path.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other side dungeon is like the best boss and dungeon in the game, so I would recommend doing it.
Yeah, that's the one you showed me.
I
Yeah,
didn't show you, but
I thought you helped me unlock it with the bloody.
no, that's the underground stuff. But there's one more after the capital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I still really obviously love it. And it's just still staggered by like the size and the complexity of the world. Like it still just blows me away, the art direction in that world. But yeah, I think having sat on it for so much time, yeah, I don't think anything can really not can take it for Game of the Year.
yeah. I mean, unless God of War someone blows me away, and
I don't see
wasn't
it.
I wasn't blown away by God of War.
I don't
the
see
first
it.
one. Me neither.
From the gameplay I've seen of it, and also I don't have a PS5, and I just don't. I probably wouldn't even buy it unless it got like even if it got a 95 on Metacritic. I probably would have to really look at gameplay videos and be like, okay, you've changed my problems with it.
Yeah,
Which is basically like make it either straight linear or open it up entirely and add in a lot more enemies. Mm-hmm. But even still, like there's just I don't think God of War is going open world, right?
I don't think so. No.
So it's not going to have that same sense of exploration.
I mean, again, it's on the same PS4 engine, so it's got to be limited by those load times as well.
Well, I mean, so is Elden Ring to that regard.
True.
But yeah,
Yeah, if you look at the graphic quality, it's very different between those two games.
totally, yeah. I mean, and like nothing from any other camp has really surprised me a lot. Like I maybe if Silk Song comes out this year or Shredder's Revenge is just that good. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I really liked Kirby and still playing Kirby and slowly chipping away at that.
Nice.
Yeah, so I am playing that. I'm just like kind of in the post game stuff, which is like, but it's still like such an awesome game, and yeah, it still doesn't beat Elden Ring.
Nice.
So what have you been playing?
Yeah, for me, I've been playing just one game. I tried a few on Game Pass, not really anything worth mentioning. I played them for like 10 minutes each. But I've been playing Triangle Strategy on the Switch.
Yeah, last time we spoke, Derek, you hadn't started it yet, or you had just started.
No,
it.
I had started playing Guardians of the Galaxy instead.
That's right.
And
Traitor.
I put that down. It just is. The gameplay is not. It's not bad. It just is so like Xbox 360 level gameplay. It just like feels very monotonous and stale.
Yep.
That it does, and the story's good, but the story is not so good that it can drive through that gameplay. So after like 2 hours, I was like, okay, like the story's kind of funny, but I just don't want to play the next. I don't want to keep playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fair. That's how it looked to me. Like that's why I kind of stayed away from it.
yeah, exactly. I just think it was free, and I figured, it was one of the top 10 for Reset Era's Game of the Year. So,
Weird.
Anyways, yeah, I know. I don't know what they saw in that. So I've been playing Triangle Strategy. I like it a lot. It's really, really fun. Reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics, a little bit of Fire Emblem. Really interesting kind of... Well, the story's not great, but it's kind of interesting the choices that you can make and kind of how many paths in different missions and kind of ways you can go through the story.
The whole game.
Yeah, it's maybe every like two chapters. Like I'm on chapter 12 out of I think 20 or so, and it's about every two chapters you kind of get one of those critical your core alliance votes on which way they want you to lean politically in the kind of like the war between three different groups. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, do you want to stop the salt trade to prevent these guys, or do you want to help them do the salt trade to?
Oh, it's cool. A little bit of it's like Risk in a little bit.
Yeah, and like, but it completely brings you to a different mission, and sometimes those missions lead to different characters that join your party, or it'll lead like to different things in the next chapter. Like, so it is interesting. I do find the one thing a little lacking is. The upgrades, like if I think about Fire Emblem, when you have a class change, like there's a lot of kind of unique things about those characters as you upgrade them, where this game feels a lot like, oh, like I just upgraded and spent all these resources to get +1 strength for that character.
So it feels like almost grading the upgrade, versus
it's just kind of like, there are some cool upgrades and there's some cool promotions that give you some cool skills but they're few, and the main stuff is just like +1 to your stats, like to certain stats. Where Fire Emblem, they have the +1 stat stuff too, but when you got promoted, it's like, oh, I got promoted, now I can use a totally different weapon set, and now I can use, fly further, or fly at all, or, walk across water, where this game is very much like, oh, I have, 10 more HP.
Yeah, a little more numerical,
Yeah, so again, it's still really fun, and the one thing I will praise it the most for is it is freaking challenging. Like it's the right difficulty where you actually have to like strategize. Where some of the Fire Emblem games, once you get to the kind of a critical point of finding your 5 or 6 characters that are just gonna steamroll the whole game, you steamroll the whole game.
Yeah.
Where this game is like, oh my god, like I upgraded the main character to like a really high stats and gave him all like my upgrades because I want him to kind of take the lead. He cannot, like, if there's 3 guys against him, he'll die. So it's like, oh damn, like I can't just like have one of my guys just walk into the army and stand there and like counterattack every single guy to death. It's like you actually have to like think about where your guys are placed and like blockade certain pathways and have your archers and healers and mages in the back and like your shield guys in the front. Like it is really kind of, it's the difficulty's good and it's good strategy.
Are you playing mostly on the TV or handheld at all?
I don't ever play the Switch handheld anymore.
Okay. So, how would you place it? Like, out of all the RPGs or JRPGs you played on Switch, Octopath and this, like, what's the best one?
I would say the story is better in this game. The combat with Octopath is about the same. They're just different, but I like them both kind of equally.
What about Fire Emblem's below those?
No, Fire Emblem. Well, Fire Emblem, some of them are below. I didn't love Three Houses. I thought the beyond the combat, the game was kind of whatever. I didn't like the characters in that game. But if you look at like the best Fire Emblems that I liked, like Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, and some of the Game Boy Advance ones, I loved those games. Those games are like on a whole nother level compared to this. Okay. So it's kind of in the middle. It's different though. It's more like Final Fantasy Tactics, and I only played a bit of that game, so I don't have enough knowledge to kind of rank it between those two.
It does feel like none of these kind of HD 2D JRPG kind of modern throwbacks have really knocked out of the park though.
No, I agree. Like, well, I mean,
like, is the best Switch game Mario vs. Rabbids? Like, is that the premier strategy RPG style game on Switch?
See, again, I like that game probably more overall in the end, but I don't necessarily say I like the strategy of that game more. Like, the packages are better and the combat is fun, but it wasn't as, like, interesting combat.
I see what you mean.
I don't know. It's hard to kind of evaluate all these things, but...
Yeah. Okay, well, what else have you been playing?
That has actually been it. I've been itching to get Diablo 2 Resurrected. But I haven't yet. But I've been watching videos and really tempted to just pick it up and play.
You're gonna buy it, and it's gonna be announced for Game Pass the next day.
Or I'm going to buy it, and after like an hour, I'm going to regret buying it.
Why don't you just wait for it to be on Game Pass? Microsoft owns them.
Yeah, I probably will. You're right. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really all I've been playing.
And other than Diablo, what's the next game you think you're going to buy at this point?
Yeah, so probably there's a few indie games I want to play, like Faster Than Light, Hyper Light Drifter. Dark Deity is a game that I really want to play. It's actually a Fire Emblem clone, but like a Game Boy Advance one with sprites. It's like an indie developer basically copied Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance.
Cool.
But I kind of want to play that. Yeah, that's really it. Just kind of picking here and there different indies. How about you?
What's your... I was going to say probably Splatoon 3 still.
Okay.
Or Shredder's Revenge, if that comes out in the summer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just wonder if E3 is going to be... The hype's going to start growing. I don't... I know it's not really E3, but... Microsoft has their showcases. Nintendo going to have a June showcase to get excited about? Or are they just going to
Nintendo will have a direct 100%. And there's also going to be Summer's Game Fest. And, more Mario Kart 8 DLC tracks have to come out in the next couple months anyways. So there's some things to get excited for.
Yeah. Well, I feel like summertime is always a little bit slow on the news cycle.
I'm excited for that week or two in June, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah. Good point, Derek. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think that kind of concludes our chat this week.
Indeed it does.
Thanks for coming out, Derek, to the computer to talk on Zoom.
Thanks for having me to our, bi-weekly podcast.
And if you're out there listening, please leave us a comment, leave us a question, anything. Just let us know you're out there.
Yes, please do.
All right, Derek, that's it for this week. Signing out.
Yep. See you later.